Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I've got a Ruger 2245 Lite on the table. This is a real fun little gun from Ruger, and it's based on the Mark series action. You know, there was the original Mark, then the Mark 1, 2, and the current iteration of it is a Mark 3. And this is based on the Mark 3 action. And it's primarily meant to be a target gun, a competition gun, range, and maybe varminting. It's not targeting concealed carry, home defense, because it is chambered in 22 LR, which is makes it a real fun gun to shoot at the range. There's almost non-existent recoil, and it's real easy to keep it on target. So let me pick it up and show you a few things about it. And we'll start, of course, by demonstrating that it is unloaded. Now, there's a lot of unique things about this gun, and one of them you probably noticed is when I cycled the action. You have this little bolt at the back that you grab and pull back to cycle the action, as opposed to a slide lever or the entire top part of the gun moving as a slide. It is a two-part assembly. You have this barrel and receiver assembly at the top, and then you have the frame and grip assembly at the bottom, and they can be separated. And we do have a video on disassembling and reassembling one of these. They have a really nasty reputation of being exceptionally difficult to disassemble and reassemble. And that's really not a well-earned reputation. The video that I've got, which I'll put a link in the description, I can reassemble one of these in 16 seconds. So if you think about that part of it, don't let that stop you from enjoying this really fine gun. It's just a matter of knowing how to do it and a few tricks. So let's talk about a few of the features of this gun. And we'll start with the safety features, because Ruger is definitely a big one for safety features. It does have a thumb safety, which is easily operated with your thumb as you're working the gun, and it's roughly in the same position as it would be on a 1911. And you probably notice this little hole at the back. When the gun is in the safe position, you can use this key to turn that lock, and that will disable the firearm. Now basically it's like a security hex key, and I can't guarantee that every one of these is absolutely unique. So it's not 100% sure that nobody could find a key that would operate the gun, but it definitely would act as a child deterrent or slow somebody down who's trying to use it. The thumb safety, when it's in the safe position, does lock the sear. So when it's in the safe position, the gun is drop safe. The sear is actually physically blocked from moving, unlike some other guns which simply interfere with the trigger. However, when it's in the fire position, there is no drop safety. So theoretically, if it were dropped, it could fire. A few of the other safety features it has is it does have a magazine disconnect, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. It does have a loaded chamber indicator. This will protrude when there's a round in the chamber, give you a physical and a tactile indication that there is a round, and it even says loaded chamber indicator right on the side. It's kind of hard to read in black on black right there. So it is a very safe gun to use, carry, and otherwise operate. A few of the other characteristics of it that are kind of cool is when the magazine is in place. Let me put the magazine in place and show you. It does lock back on a empty mag. You'll see that the magazine is fairly high up in there, and without putting a round in the chamber, you'll see that the round is actually almost lined up with the chamber and ready to fire, or ready to insert into the chamber. And one of the things this does is it makes it where the round doesn't have to climb much of a ramp to get into the chamber. So these have a reputation for being very reliable feeders, and this one has lived up to that reputation. Everything we've put through it has just worked. You probably have also noticed the Picatinny Rail, and this is a Picatinny Rail that comes with it. So you can mount optics, a scope, a red dot, any other type of optics like that. The sights are actually quite nice, however this isn't the factory sights. These are physically the factory sights, but they're black on black, so they're your typical blackout target sights. And this U that is white on mine, I painted that. It's actually a cutout recess in it, so it comes black. And the dot that's on the front side, I painted as well. I had a hard time seeing the original factory black on black sights, so I painted them. And found that I still can't see them super well, even with the large dot. So I've ordered a set of Williams Fire sights, fiber optic sights. I'm going to replace these. The only issue we've had with the gun is this front sight, that the screw on it has loosened up. So every time we take the gun out to the range, the sight will loosen up. When it's tight, it stays perfectly lined up. When it loosens, it'll start to move around a bit. Now that's not a big deal. That's nothing some Loctite wouldn't, blue Loctite wouldn't fix. But since I intend to replace the sights with the Williams fiber sights, I haven't Loctited it. So when I do take it out, I just have to tighten it up periodically. It does come with a 1/2 by 28 inch threaded barrel, standard right hand thread. So you can thread this off and you're ready to go put on a suppressor or any type of muzzle device that you may want to see fit. You would want to take the crush washer off. There's a little crush washer that keeps that from unthreading, which is nice. When you're firing the gun, the thread protector doesn't come off on its own. But if you put a suppressor on there, you would remove the crush washer because that can cause a misalignment and could result in a baffle strike. Putting it back on is just as easy as it was to take it off. You line it up and thread it back on. And then snug that crush washer up and it stays in place. It's not a small gun, but it's not huge either. It's 8.5 inches front to back. It's 5.5 inches top to bottom. It's only 1 inch thick, so it's a very thin gun. As you can see there, the wings actually stick out a little bit more than the barrel. And the frame is very light. This is an aluminum body. The receiver is aluminum, and it's ventilated for looks, cooling the barrel, and also to lighten it up a little bit. And it's a polymer lower. So what you've got here is a really kind of a cool little package. We found that this is excellent at the range. Even with the the blackout sights that I had a hard time seeing, wherever I actually ended up pointing it, it pulled a very tight group. If I could see the sights better, I might have a better chance of putting the group exactly where I want it. But it didn't matter where it was pointed. I could repeatedly get a nice tight group. The trigger on this is exceptionally nice. Now, this is a rimfire gun. Normally you can't dry fire rimfire guns, and I would not recommend doing a significant amount of dry fire with this, but pulling the trigger is part of the takedown procedure. So it is designed to tolerate a minimal amount or a reasonable amount of dry fire. So I'm going to demonstrate the trigger. So first I'm going to cycle it. We do have an unloaded gun, of course, still. I'm going to leave the magazine in it because with the magazine disconnect you have to have the magazine in place. But there's very little take-up. That's all of the take-up. It's an extremely light, short, very crisp break. And it's going to be difficult to demonstrate the reset because of the magazine disconnect. But the reset's almost all the way out, but all the way out isn't very far. Since there's so little take-up on it. We found that this trigger was very easy to get very fast follow-up shots, do rapid fire, and with the limited recoil of the 22, it's easy to stay on target. Overall, there's really not much you need to do with one. You should buy the thing, clean it, and start enjoying it. I have decided that this one's going to be a project gun. I'm going to do some stuff to this, not because I need to, but because it's just kind of fun. It's a cool gun. It's easily customizable. You can replace the grips. So I've got a set of grips that I'm going to put on it. I am going to remove the magazine disconnect. I find it highly annoying, especially because pulling the trigger recurs multiple times during the takedown procedure. At different points you have to pull the trigger to get the hammer in one position or other. So you're constantly putting a magazine in and out of it. So the magazine disconnect's just got to go. The loaded chamber indicator I am going to remove when there's a blank you can put in its place. Not because I particularly have an issue with loaded chamber indicators, but because we intend to run the suppressor on this and we've got subsonic ammo. And the loaded chamber indicator has been implicated on some of these with causing issues with cycling. With that little bit of extra drag you've got on the ammo, combined with low power ammo, which you would get with the subsonic, you might have some feed issues. So since we do intend to actually run this with a suppressor, I'm going to replace the loaded chamber indicator. And I am going to replace the sights, as I mentioned earlier, with the Williams fire sights. They'll still be adjustable. It replaces this insert. And this adjustable rear sight is actually quite nice in the adjustability it comes with. You've got, windage and height adjustable sights, and I'll retain that capability. I'll be replacing the insert. So there's a few things we're going to do this. We'll be posting subsequent video on doing those modifications, but you don't have to do those modifications to enjoy this gun. You could buy this gun just like it is. Maybe you'll have the sight issue and a drop of blue Loctite will put that to bed, and you can really get, just take this thing and go fun with it. Let me show you a comparison of what this is kind of modeled after. This is kind of modeled after the 1911 platform in 22. So I happen to have a SIG 1911 22 here, and this is a full-size 1911 size. It's basically the same dimensions as the equivalent 1911, and of course it is unloaded. But if you do some comparisons and you put them up side by side and you line them up, beaver tail, you know, the extended beaver tail because of the hammer on the 1911, and on the 2245 you have the, you know, the little flanges stick out. If you line them up, they're roughly exactly the same length, and they're the same grip angle. So if you look at the grips, I'll line the grips up, they're the exact same grip angle and basically the same trigger pattern. So the trigger pull on this is meant to mimic the single action trigger on the 1911. So one of the concepts behind this is it can be a practice gun for your 1911. That was one of the thought processes behind it. So whether or not you choose to use this as a .22 caliber practice gun for your 1911, or just choose to, you know, operate it on its own merits, the gun is perfectly suited for those types of things. And one other thing I forgot to mention on this project gun, the Ruger releases on these, so that when you've got the slide lock back, pull the magazine out, trying to just slingshot it, just pull back and let go like you would on many guns, doesn't work with most of the Rugers. You have to, not only do you have to pull back on it, but you also have to operate the slide release. Similar to the 1022s. And I find that an annoying feature. Conceptually, I guess it's supposed to be a safety, but I find that rather annoying. So when I got this apart, I bought a different catch that will eliminate that, and you'll be able to slingshot it, just pull back and let go. But again, it does function out of the box, and once you know how that works, you can, you know, easily work your way around it. So if you're looking for a relatively inexpensive, fun to shoot, easy to shoot well, little .22, fun at the range, teaching an inexperienced shooter, you know, younger kids, don't look any further than this, and don't let the, you know, the rumors of the takedown procedure scare you. Watch our video on how to do that. And if you're interested in modding one of these out, check out our mod video that will be coming out a little bit later. And other than that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share, check us out on Facebook, and have a great day. Thank you.